Have you ever noticed that no matter how many toxic people you cut out, another one always seems to appear? You block one manipulator and three more show up. You leave one draining relationship and somehow the next person feels exactly the same, just with a different face. Here's what nobody tells you. Toxic people aren't the problem. They're a symptom. And until you face the part of you that secretly invites them in, you will never be free. I'm serious. Carl Jung, one of the deepest minds in psychology, said that everything we refuse to see in ourselves ends up living out there, chasing us down in the form of other people. So let's talk about your dark side, not to scare you, to save you. Let me describe someone. See if this sounds familiar. You're a kind person. You try to see the best in others. You forgive too quickly. You make excuses for people who hurt you. And deep down, you believe that if you just love them hard enough, they'll change. But here's what's really happening. You're exhausted. You feel used. You ask yourself, why do I keep attracting the same kind of person? And the answer isn't out there. It's in here. Jung called it the shadow. It's the part of you that you've disowned, the anger you suppress, the selfishness you're ashamed of, the power you're afraid to claim. And when you pretend those parts don't exist, they don't disappear. They leak out into your life and they become magnets. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't attract toxic people by accident. You attract them because a part of you recognizes something in them that you refuse to see in yourself. Let me give you an example. Say you grew up being told that anger is bad, that good people don't get angry. So you swallowed every bit of rage. You became chill. But that anger didn't vanish. It went underground. Now you meet someone who is openly angry, aggressive, manipulative, and instead of walking away, you feel familiar. Not comfortable, but familiar. Because that person is living out the anger you buried. You're drawn to them like a moth to a flame. Because unconsciously you want to reclaim that lost piece of yourself. That's projection. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So when you say, why do I keep attracting liars? Ask, where am I lying to myself? Why do I attract people who use me? Ask, where am I using others, even in small ways, like using them for validation? I know that stings, but stay with me, because this is where it gets powerful. Now, here's where Jung dropped something even wilder. He had this concept called enantiodromia, a fancy Greek word that basically means when something reaches its extreme, it flips into its opposite. Think of it like a pendulum. If you swing too far toward being too nice, suppressing every dark impulse, never saying no, always smoothing things over, eventually the pendulum has to swing back. And that swing can look like a breakdown, a crisis, a collapse. Maybe you felt it. The depression that wouldn't lift, the anxiety that came out of nowhere, the moment you realized you couldn't keep pretending anymore. Most people see that as something going wrong. Jung saw it as something trying to go right. He believed that psychological crises aren't pathologies to be medicated away. They're initiations. The psyche burning down what no longer fits so that something real can finally be built. Let me tell you a quick story. There's a man I read about, not famous, just someone's journal. He was the ultimate people pleaser, never angry, never said no. His wife left him because she said he had no backbone. His friends stopped calling because he was too much, too available, too eager to please. He hit rock bottom, couldn't get out of bed, thought his life was over. But then, in that darkness, something shifted. He started writing down every time he felt a flicker of anger, even if it was irrational. I'm angry that my coffee is cold. I'm angry that the neighbor waved at me. Small, ridiculous things, but he stopped running from the anger. 6 months later, he wasn't mean, he wasn't aggressive, but he had boundaries for the first time in his life. And guess what? Toxic people stopped gravitating toward him because he was no longer a mirror for their unowned shadow. He had claimed his own. So how do you actually do this? How do you face your dark side without becoming a monster? 3 steps, simple, not easy. Step 1, catch the projection. Next time someone makes you feel deeply irritated or victimized, pause and ask, what trait in this person am I secretly afraid I have? Don't answer fast. Sit with it. The first answer is usually a lie. The second or third answer, that's your shadow. Step 2, give yourself permission to feel the ugly stuff. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Sit alone and say out loud, I am allowed to be angry. I am allowed to be selfish. I am allowed to want power. You don't have to act on it. You just have to stop pretending it doesn't exist. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Step 3, practice small, safe expressions of your shadow. If you've been too nice, practice saying no to something tiny, like a telemarketer or a friend asking for a small favor you don't want to do. If you've suppressed your anger, write an angry letter you never send. If you've been afraid of your own ambition, allow yourself to want something without apologizing. You're not becoming toxic, you're becoming whole. And whole people don't attract toxic ones because they no longer need the lesson. Here's what I want you to take away. Every collapse you've ever experienced was not the end of something. It was the psyche burning down what no longer fit. The people who have fallen apart most completely often develop the deepest strength, not because they suffered more, but because they stopped running. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to stop attracting the same pain? Or are you going to keep pointing fingers at the world while the real culprit hides in the shadows of your own mind? If this video hit something real for you, I want you to do 2 things. First, subscribe. Not because I want a number, because this channel is for people who have decided to stop being victims of their own patterns. If that's you, hit that button. Join the ones who choose self-confrontation over self-pity. Second, comment 1 word, shadow, just that. It's a promise to yourself that you'll start looking inward instead of outward. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, okay, don't fight your darkness. Befriend it, because on the other side of that, nobody will ever use you again.